Well, speed has always been my life, but this is something I've always wanted to have a go at. Stock car racing, and Ian's the man who's going to help me do just that. Ian, when you think of stock cars, you think of bangers tearing around a track, bumping into each other, literally smashing themselves out. It's not like that, is it?
No, that's one of the biggest problems, is everybody always associates the cars as bangers and everything else. But as you can see, they're not. They're a purpose-built car just for this kind of racing.
What's the difference?
The difference basically is you build the car from scratch, whereas with bangers you go to a scrapyard and get a car. And also, the main part is the engines.
I mean, the engine looks absolutely massive.
Yeah, it is. It's 600-odd brake horsepower V8 Chevrolet, so it's a fair monster.
What does that mean? I mean, how fast does it go?
The truth of it is, it all depends on what axles you have in as to how fast. When you race, you'll probably be doing top speed of about 90 miles an hour.
What?
Yeah, and when somebody hits you at that speed, it's a fair old bump.
I thought it was going to be something about 30 or 40 miles an hour.
No, the cars differ as to what tracks you're on, but Hodsall is a pretty big track, and so we'll be fair moving, hopefully.
How long have you been racing?
This is my 7th year. I started when I was 17, and I thoroughly enjoy it, so we keep on doing it.
Did it just happen from there on, or did you go through sort of different phases?
I did 2 meetings when I thoroughly loved it. I thought, this is the thing for me. And then my 3rd meeting was at a place called Hartlepool. Went out there, and I went out in the first 2 races and I was all right. Then in the 3rd race, I went out and I thought I was absolutely flying. I thought I was the fastest thing on the track, and everybody came past me and left. I just looked like a slow coach. I came off and I complained to the bloke I was borrowing the car off. I said, there's no way I can race that fast. I said, so we'll go home. And he actually physically belted me in, locked me into the car and pushed me all the way onto the track and made me race it. Since that day on, I've just loved it.
Well, I'd love to have a go, but I mean, there's got to be some, it's not just getting in, belting yourself in and going out on the track, is it? There's got to be some technique to it.
The hardest thing about the cars is making them go in a straight line. They turn left, no problem. The biggest problem is getting used to the heavy steering. You've got no power-assisted steering or anything, and just keeping it in a straight line and then handling the power.
So how do you manage to overtake?
If there's somebody in front, that's what that big piece of metal's on the front for. If there's somebody in front of you, you just move them out of the way.
Literally crash them out of the way?
Just push them out of the way and then go up the inside.
Sounds like great fun.
That's it. I hope you'll enjoy it anyway.
Ian's father, Dennis, and younger brother, Paul, helped to get the back of the coach ready to carry my car. Yes, these stock car drivers and their cars travel in style. That's my car, newly painted and newly tuned. Can't wait to have a go. Well, with Dennis at the wheel, it's destination Bradford and the famous Hodsall Stadium. But we're stopping off for some practice on the way. It's all very exciting, but just how dangerous is stock car racing?
Well, as you see here, there's an accident. Let's put it like this, I'd rather race my car on the tracks than drive around on the roads. At least on the tracks, the other people out there with you have got a rough idea of what they're doing, and you know, you can anticipate what they're going to do.
Is there much accident really like this?
No, on the tracks, the occasional stoppages, race stoppages, but nothing like this. The beauty of our cars is they don't crumple, they just don't give like that. Go everywhere, I mean.
Nearly time for my first drive. Not on the track though, but on a small section of a disused airfield.
This is my baby then?
That's it. Hand up on the top, leg through and shimmy in.
Which way?
Right, if you just stand on there.
This foot here?
Right, up, that foot in first.
Oh! You haven't got a lot of room with your crash hat on as well, have you?
No, unfortunately not. You get your leg round the gear lever. Right.
It's pretty primitive in here, isn't it?
Yeah, very. Clutch, brake and accelerator, as in a normal car.
Uh-huh.
You just got to hit the brakes fairly hard. Your gears are reverses across there and back. Second is straight here.
Right.
And fourth is across this way and back.
Oh.
Okay?
So it's across and back.
For reverse.
Yeah, across.
Straight down the middle is second.
And across and back for full.
So when you go around on your rolling lap, you'll be in second, right? And then when the flag drops, you just pull it as far across here as you can, straight back. And you just, well, that doesn't really matter, but we usually pop that band over just to stop it jumping out of gear. It won't do unless you get hit.
Why is the steering wheel offset to the left?
Because you're always going left, so basically it works. that it puts it in a neutral position because you tend to lean that way. Right, what you do is those two slip onto there, and then that's to there and locked in, and then these are your two shoulder ones that you just pull the strap.
Pull down on.
That's it. And
how tight should it be?
Tight so you can't move. We'll have to probably put some padding in the bottom of this because the belts have nearly run out of room, you see. Feel comfortable-ish.
Ish.
Right, to start it, there's a main power switch down there.
Right.
You turn that.
Okay. Push
Gas.
the button.
That's it.
Right, let's
So
have a run down the track then.
You can't even keep it straight, it's all over the place. He says it falls to the left, that's the understatement of the year. Whoa. Oh, there he goes. You gotta whip it up and hit me like a ton of lead. If I blow my top, will you let it go to your head? Give me all your loving, all your hugs and kisses too. Give me all your loving, don't let us do.
Well, as long as I haven't seen many people go that well for the first time in one.
Really?
Yep, you did well. Certainly going.
So we're in with a chance then?
A fair chance yet.
Great. Bradford, here I come. So it was on to Odsall. I really was impressed by the comfort and layout of this coach. Ian told me that nearly all the teams travelled in converted coaches.
Yeah, it beats sitting in the car pulling a trailer. The thing is, when we get doing a lot of meetings during the week, then we have to, we need comfort. Bank holiday weekends, we tend to do 4 meetings over the weekend. On a Friday, you can be at Bradford, say, Saturday Coventry, Sunday up at Newcastle, and then Monday Sheffield. There's a lot of miles, and we've got the facilities to sleep and everything, so it's comfort.
How do you manage to combine family life with all that much travelling?
The beauty of it is all the families involved. There's Dennis, my father, he's mechanicking, Paul, my youngest brother, mechanics, Alan drives the bus, and then my wife, Jackie, prepares food, and my mother prepares food. So the beauty of it is all the families together all the time, so it keeps the family together.
They're noisy places, pits. 90 cars had turned up and they all needed attention. This was when I began to realise exactly what I'd let myself in for, and I was desperate not to let Ian down. There was an air of anticipation and enthusiasm everywhere, especially in a Dutch team I came across.
Jack? Yes? Why don't you come all the way over from Holland to race in Bradford?
When? It's a nice track. Nicest track from Shale. Good corners, very fast.
Do you do many races while you're over in England?
5 this time.
Then I found I wasn't alone after all.
I've been walking around the car park, Jane, and there are literally hundreds of men drivers. What a relief to find a female. Was it difficult when you first started stock car racing, with all the men? Still difficult now.
Why?
It's just competitive and, it's a hard sport to be in, and I think sometimes the men don't like being beaten by a woman.
Did they give you a real hard time when you first started?
No, I don't think they did when I first started. I think they do more now, because when I first started, I think they just thought, well, we better be careful with her, she might be delicate, and I think they've realised I'm not, and that I can give out as much as I take, so they treat me as hard as anybody.
The cars went out on the track for the first race. That's Ian there in number 29. Not only had I never even driven in a stock car race, I'd never been to a meeting. Dennis, Ian's father, put me in the picture.
The best advice, Jane, is you'll be right, Liz. Oh, Christ, I'll get it right. OK, Liz.
you'll be at the back where those whites are there. They're novices, okay?
Right.
So what you do is hang back a little bit to start with, get a little gap between you and the reds, and as the reds go past the starter, who's halfway along that straight, right, you accelerate a little bit, get it into top gear, and remember she'll tick over in top gear, so you've no problem at all.
So will they stop me at the line then?
No, no, no. You'll be sat at the back just as they are now. Right, okay. Now if you watch, you'll see that the whites at the back here, right, it's going to be 2 or 3 laps before they catch up. And they're going slow. You'll be going faster than that because you were this morning. Okay. So it's going to be 2 or 3 laps at least before they catch up. So you've got time to get the feel of it, all right? And don't worry about them hitting you. They'll go faster. They won't want to hit you. Now, if you watch now, Jane, the track for Liz. Okay, well, we've got our only lady driver is Jane, isn't it, up till now? You'll see that a racing line is beginning to develop. And if you stick to the outside of that racing line, just keep to the outside of it, they'll just go up the inside of you. You watch here, John Lundy's going to go up the inside of those. Right. He'll jostle them as he goes past, but he's not going to hit them. He doesn't want to hit anybody else. He wants to win the race. All right?
Let's go and get strapped in. Come on.
Right, come on. Right, okay, Liz. No need to panic. I mean, it looks rough out there. You're in the strongest, safest car there is. And seriously, all you've got to do is what I tell you now, okay? Get out there, drive at what you feel comfortable. No big boot. You just rip it forward and it'll come off. And the next one springs up automatic, okay? Get your gloves on, you know how to start it. Let's be away.
I must be out of my mind. Stop breathing and all your goggles are steaming up and you can't see and your straps are tight. What am I doing here?
Well, the first thing I should be doing is looking for the green light. We're off. The top drivers' cars have got red roofs, and it's down through blue and yellow to the white roofs, the novices. That's me, all right, but I was beginning to get the hang of things. What I was learning fast was that in this sport you need eyes in the back of your head. You're never alone in a stock car. There's something happening all the time. Well, that incident made me lose my concentration and top gear. Well, Ian did say the car might jump out of gear if I was shunted. Back into gear and away again. I might be a first timer, but when these cars want to pass, they mean business. Started to come in for a lot more stick now, but dare I say it, I began to feel I was holding my own out there. Oh, I slipped out of gear again. It's really maddening. Every time I looked in the mirror, there was more trouble coming up. That was my biggest thump so far, and I had a pretty good idea who it was. This race wasn't over yet, and I was in for a hot time ahead. Oh, that was a bit nasty. I'd lost track of the number of laps we'd done, but I was determined to finish in one piece.
Take him out, Sam, is it?
At last, as I came around a bend, I saw the finishing flag. I'd actually made it.
3 times it jumped out of gear, and then I got the elastic bend on it, and it didn't after that. I tell you, when it jumped out of gear, when that James Dean hit me on the backside, and I thought, no way, lady. Was it?
You did well.
I really
Brilliant.
enjoyed it.
You enjoy it?
The first clout, I thought, what on earth was that? I couldn't believe it. It was just so hard, and then after that, I thought, right, well, if in for a penny, in for a pound.
You're going to get out that side?
I'd love to.
Brilliant.
I'm all black. I'm all covered.
Are you going out in the next one?
Damn right I am. Oh, sorry.
What did you think then?
I got a bone to pick with you, Beanie. My bumper's bent double. What do you think of that?
And I thought one of my plug leads fell off, and I thought, oh no, I didn't have any power at all.
You won, didn't you?
Mm.
Good. Congratulations.
Did you enjoy it?
It's hard work, isn't it?
It's different when there's other cars out there. Isn't it? You did really well. And I came up behind you, I thought, God, you know, it's a woman, which way do I go? But you're really good, you're easy to pass. I mean, not easy, meaning that you weren't out of control, you drove very well.
It was hard. When I got my first shunt, I thought, good God, it was so hard. And then your one was harder than any fella's, and I thought, I bet I know who that is. You wait till the consolation.
While the mechanics got the cars ready, I bumped into a real star.
Well, with me now is double world champion John Lunn. John, you saw me race. What did you think?
I thought you did really well, yeah. If I was being really critical, I think you have to try and get a flow going when you're driving on the corners. Just keep the power on and just keep it drifting around and keep a nice flow going all the time. Because if you start and lose the flow, then you lose time. But other than that, I thought superb for the first time, definitely.
My second race. I knew I had to concentrate. What had John Lunn said? Keep the power on around the bends. I was in a gaggle of white tops at the back of the field, and I wanted to get out of them before the big boys caught up. I was beginning to feel quite good, and I'd even remembered to strap the gear lever in place. I was keeping on the power, and my eyes were really well peeled. And then, the very thing I'd been absolutely dreading. I got pushed into another car on the barrier. The engine stalled, and to crown it all, it was a great time to find out that the battery was flat.
That looks like it's it for me. I can't get going again. I wish somebody would come and start me, give me a shot.
What I couldn't see was that up ahead there was the mother and father of all traffic jams, and it was getting worse. In fact, it was so bad that the organisers decided to stop the race, sort it out and restart. All I could hope for was a sympathetic driver who'd give me a push. Thank you. You're a gentleman, sir. Restart, and those of us who were left were back in business. Whatever I did, I must stay out of trouble. It was good to be on the move again, and with half the cars wrecked, I really began to feel that I'd survive. I mustn't get complacent, though. After the last incident, I kept a wary eye in the mirror. I didn't want to be taken out again. It's so embarrassing, for one thing. He was getting closer, but I actually didn't feel in danger. The track was littered with wrecked cars, and I didn't want to join them. I'd managed to get myself into a nice safe pocket by now, with no one threatening me. I noticed 2 cars coming up very fast. They certainly needed watching.
What an obstacle course, isn't it?
They really were closing fast. I didn't like this at all. I just knew something big was going to happen, and it did. I was well and truly out, and it was no consolation to know that I wasn't the only one. I'd stalled again, and felt very vulnerable indeed sitting there broadside on.
Well, I'm going to see you get knocked about for a while, isn't it?
That finished me right off. There are more dignified ways of coming back to the pits, you know. What I didn't know then was that my car had taken just too much of a beating.
Ian? All of a sudden, they just came from nowhere. It was like crash. It was the first time when somebody shunted me at the other end. You know, the whole crowd, they did not cheer. But it was somebody, they shunted me and got me going. When those 2 took me out, it just stopped and I couldn't, the throttle was stuck on the floor. I had to get my foot under it to lever it off, and then it just wouldn't go again.
Well, they're going to put another battery on it, okay?
Yeah.
Because the trouble is, with them having no alternators, they tend to use a lot of power. So they're going to fix you up with another battery.
Going out again, yeah?
What was it took me out? Who was it that knocked me out then?
Frankie Wayman put, who was it he put into you? Les Spencer into you. Those 2 were first and second.
Oh, were they?
And so it was a tussle for the lead, and you were the ideal chance.
Oh, was I?
Yes,
Oh, great, thanks. Nice to know.
You've shifted the chassis over about 4 inches.
I did.
Oh, well, whoever it is.
You're not supposed to hear that.
You whole thing's twisted out of line. There's a leg broken here. This bar that goes across here, in fact, is almost S-shaped.
I
The engine's
can't believe
expensive,
how it's bent up. I mean, they used me like a punch bag that race, didn't they?
I can't believe that you're not black and blue and vowing, going and hiding and saying you're never going to do it again.
You know what YTV are like? They had the technology, they rebuilt me.
Well, there we are. You know, I think we all think you've done well. The team,